Ready.
Hola, hola, good afternoon and good evening and good morning somewhere out there in the world. This is a wonderful show that we're back here again because of you and for you. And of course, this is The Face of a Hero with my wonderful co-host,
Agustin.
and EVE.
Yes.
And we're here with another show, another fantastic guest coming on today.
Absolutely.
But let's recap on some things, Agustin. But first, let me put that disclaimer out there: the views and the views expressed by the callers of the show and the host are not the views of the management, of our guest, or any of you as the audience. Just to make sure that we put it out there.
That's right. What I say is what I feel, what I believe.
That's right. That's
what
right.
he says, that's another story.
I got you. Anyway, last week was great, a great interview.
Absolutely.
I really loved some of his stories that he shared with us, and kudos to him, to Waldemar, right?
Waldemar Cruz.
Cruz.
And for Aspira, what he's
Yes.
doing, giving back to the organization,
Yes.
great organization that he is putting all his time into, which, some people, they retire and what they do is they'll just go and do their own thing.
And
Stay
do
home
what
and
that
watch-
means, retire, do nothing.
Stay home and watch TV.
Yeah, and then you get old, you get illnesses, and then there you go down the hill, right?
Right.
But I wanted to talk about something. I don't know if you heard in the news, and I do want to say condolences to the family, condolences to the Lake County Sheriff's Department's family.
Oh, yes.
And this is something that's so prevalent that we've been talking a lot about is mental health, and mental health in the hospitals, in the clinics, in the police departments, first responders, period, as a whole.
Absolutely.
That is increasing. I'm just going to read off of one of our media newscasters that was reporting this, and I got word. They didn't identify him right away. I am friends to a lot of Lake County police officers, Lake County sheriffs, and so I asked, "So what happened?" Because I hadn't, known what happened. They didn't want to identify who he was right away. He's a 51-year-old veteran at the sheriff's department, and they said, "Yeah, he self-inflicted." I was like, "Oh my gosh."
I know.
One more, an RN, as I mentioned to you before, I need to pull up that story. He walked out and never came back. He was I think it was for lunchtime, and he never came back. He took his life. He was found a couple days later. So this says a police officer has been found dead inside his patrol car in Northwest Indiana. This happened, if I'm correct, in East Chicago, Indiana, which I've worked in that Lake County department, or the courthouse right there. And so I know the officers that work there. I always speak to everybody. So I was like, please don't let it be somebody I know, And I had seen him, may have had crosswords, just a few words with him. But this is a 51-year-old veteran that makes you wonder what happened, right?
Right.
The man's identity and cause of death was not released when they first reported this, but his name is Christopher, and if I'm correct, and I know that some of my high school classmates were very good friends with him too. The officer's body was found broad daylight, Friday, just a couple days ago at 4:30 p.m. outside the Lake County Courthouse in East Chicago. A civilian employee discovered the officer inside his squad car in the parking lot, and they were investigating it, but find out that it was self-inflicted. That says a lot.
Self-infliction is, I think about that, and my thoughts is how much pain does a person go through to self-inflict? It's like that one, she was a pageant that jumped off the 22nd floor to her death. I mean, you're standing on the ledge and you're just there thinking, I'm going to end my life. But it's so, how do they not think about once they hit that pavement down there? And
Yeah.
she had so much going on for herself.
Yeah.
And I just read about this other high school soccer star, this female, young high school, no, I'm sorry, not high school, I apologize, college I believe she was about 21, 22. She had everything. Stanford on top of it had everything going. Self-inflicted suicide. She was on top of her game. She was on top of the world with her academics. And they interviewed the parents and they said, there's nothing worse than losing a child, but losing a child where you had no idea that that child was going to take their life away.
Right, right. You just don't know.
And you have a daughter, I have a daughter, and I couldn't even fathom what these parents felt.
Yeah.
Because, again, it was, I don't even want to think about it, but it's horrible. But again, getting back to what is going through these people's mind to take their life away in that. But
I'm sure that through the investigation, they may find out that he may have had some issues internalizing things, or may have had a very bad day that day, but it all accumulated and built up inside.
Yes.
Just like another young man that on the highway took his life, and he was a young one, I think in his 30s.
Yeah.
He took his own life in the highway.
That's
not too long ago.
Yeah, that's again, it's mind-boggling, but
let's just say that. Let's just go to their workplace. Many of us say, well, they knew what they were signing up for. Yeah, but you're human. You're not a robot.
Exactly.
You're not a robot. And many officers are hurting themselves or hurting their families because they're hurting.
Right. And not even officers, but
anyone.
Yeah.
RNs, like the one I was just telling you that also took his life. It could be anybody. You go through things, I go through things. It's how we handle situations that makes us different. Some can handle, some can't. But up to what point? How much can one handle, right? Just like if you put a lot of water in a balloon, you're going to be careful not to bust it. So you're going to measure how much water to put in, right? But if you keep putting it, guess what's going to happen to that balloon?
And even sometimes you think that they are the happiest persons. Robin Williams.
Go figure.
Robin Williams.
Let's not go so far. Full House. What's his name?
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
I'm looking at his face. I was just watching his videos on TikTok. Someone dedicated in his memory for Full House.
Yeah.
All the videos of him doing his selfies, because he was a big TikToker.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. But
which sometimes people hide behind their comedy.
Right. Or they put a facade on that.
Yeah.
They put on a happy face.
Yeah.
Everything is okay. I'm okay. I'm okay in your eyes, but in my I'm not okay.
When I go
I need
home,
help. I
don't know how to reach out for help. I don't know how to ask for help, but I need help. Sometimes it's the shame and embarrassment, pride, ego that stops someone from seeking out and saying, hey, can I make an appointment? I need some help.
Yeah.
Right? Or, hey, friend, can you hear me out? It's really been a tough time.
Yeah. I just want to talk.
Their egos, or I'm a cop. Come on. Yeah. I'm military. Come on. How can I have these issues?
Right.
How could you not? Again, we're human. And so this show's about bringing the humanity out of situations and people. And we're going to get to hear someone different today. But before we bring her up, anything else you want to share, Agustin?
Well, what I like to share is actually, we'd like to hear your story. First responders, we'd like you to call, like to email, and reach out to us. We want to hear your story. We want you on our show, just like every other individual that we had here. They're just regular human beings. We want to see it. Call us.
Yeah.
Our number is 872-265-1829. Give us a call. We want to hear your story. We want you here. You can talk about anything you want. You cannot talk about what you don't want to talk about. We're not going to force the issue on you. We're not going to jeopardize your position. We're not. We just want to hear your story. We want you to call in and that.
Yeah, we want you to tell us your story, but we want the audience to hear your story.
Absolutely.
first and foremost, because they don't know what it's like to be in your shoes until they hear from you. And today we have a registered nurse, an RN, coming on. I know you've been seeing PDs, retired or active, but we're going to hear what is it like to be a registered nurse, not in just any department, but in the emergency room of a hospital.
So now we're hearing the medical side of it, not the law enforcement side of it.
Right.
But stay tuned. We'll be right back. That's right.
Welcome to The Face of a Hero, Miss Sandra Weeks. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for
Wonderful.
having me.
Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is a different point of view, a different story that many people need to hear. And it's not Agustine's story, it's not my story. It is your story, Miss Sandra. May I call you Miss Sandra?
Yes, you may.
Okay, wonderful. So as I mentioned before, she is a registered nurse in the inner city hospital in the emergency room. So it's not in any just typical department at a doctor's office in the hospital or at radiology.
As they call it, right in the trenches.
Right in the trenches. Where it starts.
Yes.
Where it all starts. And you've been a nurse for 21 years. Wow. Well, we're going to be asking you about that stuff. But first of all, who is Sandra Weeks as a female, as a woman, as a mom, maybe? I don't know. You tell us.
As a wife?
As a wife. Where are you from, first of all?
Okay. Hi, I'm Sandra Weeks. I am I grew up on the west side of Chicago.
West side? Hello to the West Siders.
West side?
Yes, been over there all my life. I'm still Northwest, but still considered a West Sider. I am married for going on, I think, 33, 34 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Bless your heart. I want to know how you made it happen.
Yes, I have a great husband. So
there you go. So
yeah.
it's not always just a happy wife is a happy life.
Yeah, you got to make the husband happy too.
That too.
Yes.
It works both ways. That's right.
Have 2 kids. They're full adults in their 30s. No grandchildren. Decided I wanted to be a nurse. Always been in the medical field. I was working, became a CNA first. I was working with rehabilitation patients from mental facilities. Enjoyed that, but I felt that I wasn't fulfilling my purpose in life. So I went back to school and became a nurse. And
Good for you.
always wanted to
Thank
take care of
you.
people. Yeah, I love what I do. So, yeah, so I've been a nurse for 21 years. It seems like a long journey, but it seemed like I just got there. Time go fast, but I'm here and not thinking about giving it up anytime soon.
Wow. Well, thank you for your service.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Yes.
the love for people.
Yes.
Right.
And you got to have some patience to do what you do.
Yes.
You
Keep
definitely do.
trying. Yeah.
You definitely do.
It says here that you're also been in other departments. Which one? I mean, I can't say which one's worse than the other. I mean,
Well,
or can I?
Or more difficult.
Or more difficult? Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
Well, I've worked in med-surg. I worked in the mental health field. Did some ICU. ER is where I'm at now. And each area has its own patients, depending on where you go. Mental health is one of the more challenging areas.
Yes.
Because you're dealing with an individual with their own individual problems. Even though in medical, they individual too. But in mental health, it's a challenge because you need to get people to communicate and talk and tell you what's going on with them. Versus someone that's medical, they come in for a laceration, you see what their problem is.
Oh, yeah.
You can fix that right there. But when you have an issue with a person with mental illness, it's a challenge because you got to make that person feel comfortable enough to be able to express themselves and talk about what's going on, because no one wants that stigma of having some form of mental illness.
Right.
It's
absolutely.
a taboo, especially in the...
I'm not sick.
You're right.
I'm not sick.
Exactly.
Well, nothing wrong with
Exactly.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, but look at you.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that's a challenge.
And not even knowing where they are.
Yes.
First of all,
Yes.
they walk in, you don't know if he's just like a person with mental health.
Or
Yes.
or they might be normal, or they act normal, and you think, okay, I'm working with a regular person until you interview them, let's say, and then you start finding out, something's wrong with this guy.
Something don't sound right, or
Yes.
something's
Yeah.
off, right?
Yes.
So let me take you back to your young years.
Okay.
You said you always liked helping people. There's always something in our lives that takes us there.
Yes.
What was that for you?
Growing up in a community where you see a lot of different things. First, I was a patient. I was burned. I had third-degree burn on my foot. And my mom took me to Cook County Hospital. And I was so fascinated with the nurses, the way they handled things. Those were the ones that I seen the most. You know, doctor came in and, you know, did his thing and gave his orders. But the nurses, the way they handled, and I watched the way they handle other patients and everything. So when the teachers ask you every year, what do you want to be? I was always, I'm going to be a nurse.
Wow.
So it started there, and then just seeing in my community how the people needed help, and it seems like they couldn't really get the help, whether it was mental illness, whether it was they were sick, and you have no insurance, and so you know we bandage you up in the ER, we send you home, but you still got that issue.
That's right. Yeah.
So I felt that I wanted to make a difference. So it always stuck with me. You know, that's what I wanted to do. And watching my mom, you know, she was, you know, she would get sick and everything, and you have to go advocate for your loved one in the hospitals and in the ERs.
Yeah.
And so it was like, you know, somebody got to make a difference.
Definitely.
And thank you. You are making a difference. And to be here and still to be able to smile, I'm sure that you've had some rough days. I was watching, just as we were talking off the air, a show. I don't know how new it is, but I hadn't seen it. And it's called Night Shift on Netflix. Okay, I'm going to send the bill to Netflix soon. Putting that plugger there. Where it's all happening in the ER. And then it got me thinking, well, these last 2 years has been pandemic, has been chaos, has been confusion, has been, how is it like to be there as the RN during that time, these last 2 years? Can you tell us some stories?
Yes. Well, I remember when, I think it was 2019.
Prior
to the pandemic. We got a few patients in that was very sick. And so the ER was like, the doctor was, let's just do a flu swab on them. So we did a flu swab. Now, mind you, these patients were very sick, where we ended up intubating 2 of them because their respiratory distress was so bad.
Wow.
And I said, Doc, I think the flu is here early. Everybody's testing positive for the flu. We had no idea that this was what it was.
Pre-pandemic.
Yes, and more patients was coming in, and we didn't know it. And then moving forward to 2020, I happened to miss the first one because I fell and broke my ankle and leg. And all my coworkers calling me and texting me like, oh my God, it is so bad. And I was sitting in front of the TV watching the news, and I became so emotional. And my husband was like, we can't keep watching TV because you can't keep it together.
Right.
Yeah.
Just hearing about all the deaths and how everything was happening fast. And then at some point I was like, I wish I was there to support my coworkers and be there for the patients. Moving forward, last year, I ended up back at work. I was back at work, and I ended up as a COVID patient myself. It was a very scary thing. You know, I was with my husband and my best friends. We were out having dinner. We were sitting in the backyard, and I started my throat. You know, Chicago wind is so...
Yes.
You know, it's so strong, it's blowing. I'm thinking, oh, this wind. I said, you know, the wind is really making my throat sore. And I went home and I started feeling chills. I never thought about I would be sick. And somebody said, take your temp. I took my temp, and I had a fever of 102.
Oh, wow.
So right away, I removed my husband from the area. And I called my job that morning. I went in, and they tested me, and 3 days later, I had COVID. Now, I'm thinking, I can handle this. We take care of the patients all the time. No problem. And I got very sick very fast and got to a point where I was in respiratory. I had all the symptoms except loss of taste. And I was struggling, and I was saying, I have to be strong. I can't, you know, I have to be that nurse that's strong.
Right.
You know.
Superwoman.
Yes, because we tell the patients, okay, you're gonna get better. You're gonna be fine. And this is what I was telling myself. And
Amen.
I got very sick where my doctor called one night and said, you got to get out the house. And I became a patient. And I watched how I was treated as a patient. So I was on the other side of it.
Right, right.
And it really made me change my thought process of how you treat people, because you never know where people are physically and mentally.
Right.
And
right.
and as a nurses that are already in the trenches, they never thought about, I don't think they thought about where's her mentally, where's she at mentally.
Right.
And along with this physical illness she have. And it was toughen it up, you'll be okay, go home. And I was one step from being intubated. I ended up going home.
Oh, wow.
I called my husband, and we hadn't seen each other in like over 2 weeks because I was isolated. And I said, they sending me home to die. And he was like,
The devil is a liar.
the devil is a lie. But in my head, I believe in God. I trust God. But in my head, I was anxious. I was panicking. I was thinking the worst. This is my mental thought now, because now I'm a patient. And, long story short, I overcame with the prayers of God. I ended up on medication, but almost 3 months of battling COVID. And to hear someone that's in that don't think about your mental illness, it made me change the way I deal with patients. So I always tell my coworkers, everybody got a story. You just got to listen.
That's right.
Because if you listen
right.
to them, people will talk to you and tell you, and you got to treat them individually.
That's right. That's right.
And that was one of my personal stories.
And God allows us to go through things to know how to change something. And your end, you needed to see it from the other side, so that you can also now help that person, you being on that side, to understand them.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
God wasn't done with you yet, because you're right here with us.
Yes.
Okay. Amen to that. And
Yes.
so that changed things. But you're in the trenches now. Pre-pandemic. People still got sick. People
Yes.
still died.
Yes.
People still need your services.
Yes.
People still went to the emergency room.
Yes.
When was the most chaotic in the 21 years you've been in this field that you almost, if you did, say, I don't think I can do this anymore?
When everyone started coming to the hospital at one time, even though the media was saying, if you're having mild symptoms, stay home, follow the doctor instructions, don't come to the ER. No one was hearing that. So we had
People panicking.
Yeah, we had no room anywhere. When I said no room, we had every bed filled from the top to the bottom of the hospital, along with the ER was packed, where we had beds in the hallways. We had recliners in the hallways. And our rooms are individualized. So we had to treat the medical patients. So we had people on monitors in the hallway, and people with COVID in the isolation in the room. And then we still had COVID patients that were walking in that were very sick, nowhere to put these people. And so it was so bad. And then we had patients on, and just thinking about it, my heart gets heavy, that was coming in that had been sick for a while, that did not come to the hospital, that needed to come, that were dying on us.
Jesus.
And this particular day, my patient, passed. And I didn't even know I was taking care of a patient. I didn't know I was weeping. And I had on all of this isolation gear. Wow. And I walked out the room, and my coworker looked me in my eyes. And I just broke down. I think I sobbed for a whole hour. And they were soothing me. And I went in the staff lounge. I just could not get it together. And I said, I can't do this anymore. It was just so overwhelming, and one by one, I watched each one of us mentally have a breakdown, like different ways. Some was like very angry. Some was like crying. And it's just so overwhelming, because you want to help the people. And it's like our hands were tied. We were begging for help. Wow. We were begging, yeah.
Wow.
And it was really rough. It was rough. And just going home, sobbing in the car, not sleeping at night.
Wow.
We all experienced that. The call-ins were great, and then we all one by one started getting sick
Yeah.
because your immune
Domino
system
effect.
is it's
You're not
exposed.
resting. You're
Yeah.
not sleeping well. You're
Yeah.
concerned about your patients, but now you got to concern yourself about you
Yeah.
because you guys were in the forefront of all these patients coming in, no matter how grave they were or not. You took that risk.
Yes.
Right.
You were the first to take that risk.
Yes.
And as an RN, they see you more than they see the doctor. The doctor goes say, okay, let me look. Okay, 2 minutes and I'm done. But you're nurse, that button.
Oh yes.
Did you want to get rid of that button?
Oh God. Yes.
Especially if they're in pain, they need medication or something, and
Yes.
you have 50 other patients, but you haven't been over here in 15 minutes.
Yes.
It seems like a long day for them, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It does. It is. It's a long
is.
day, and
Especially if I apologize, but especially if I'm not sure how many nurses you have on the floor, but now if you're down 25% because they're sick, so
Yes.
now
Yeah.
you're taking extra duty on.
yes, we're like teams. You have a teams assigned. So sometimes you will have 2 teams plus your charge nurse. So you got 3 hats you're wearing, and you got to take care of these patients. And I thank God we were able to do it. How we did it, I have no idea. But it's
Grace of
hard
God.
sometimes, yes. And sometimes you have patients that that's something that could probably be treated in the clinic or that was seen by the doctor. You can go home. Or something, you treat patients based on severity of their case. And so sometimes patients like, I'm sicker than that person
Right.
and don't know the situation. You can't discuss it with them. And then you got to deal with that.
And then they're
You gotta deal
irate.
with it.
Then
Yes.
become a mental issue right there.
Yes. Yes.
And you got to be okay.
Yes, and you deal with the violence, the violence along with the verbal abuse, along with
Yes.
on top of that, it's not easy, and people still expected us to be able to do our job, whether it was
Right.
management or
Right.
the family or the patients.
It's your job, so you
It's
got to
your
do
job.
it
You gotta
regardless.
do it. Yes,
And you have to have a smile on your
Wow.
face.
you gotta
Wow.
smile. You
You
gotta
gotta-
say I'm sorry.
Wow.
You gotta take it for everyone. I'm sorry, and I'm gonna fix it.
Now, I will say that there have been some nurses or RNs or MAs that may have been having a bad day, and you let the patient know you're having a bad day. I still can't blame you.
No.
You're human.
Yes.
Right.
You're not a robot to always, yes, nothing is wrong with me. And I have the patience of Job. Well, yeah, we can have the patience of Job, but to how long and for how far, right?
Yes,
Right.
So I commend you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Sandra, and all of those that have been there and are still there in the forefront saying, we're still here because we care.
Yes.
That would be a very hard job to take on
I
if you don't
couldn't do it.
have, right?
I couldn't do it.
Especially if you don't have the love for people.
Yes.
Get out of that job.
I have the love for people, but not my patience only goes so far.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And I was in a hospital in late October, and I've experienced what these nurses had to go through. And there was this patient across the hall from me, and this guy would be singing and talking and screaming and everything, and the nurse would come in and she says, "Mr. Marin, do you want the door? You want your door open?" I says, "No, I want it closed. I don't want to hear that gentleman and that." But they
Did you say it like that?
well, I know because I'm hearing him how irate he was getting, and I felt for them. But for me, it was okay. I had multiple nurses, and they would come in at 3 a.m, 2 o'clock, and this and that. And I was all, what happened with me. I was all doped up. So, Mr. Marin, I'm so sorry. I need to draw your blood. Okay, no problem. Go ahead, Mr. Marin. I need to.
Every 2 to 3 hours, right?
Yeah. So it was like, I get it.
No
It's
rest.
okay. No worries in that. And they used to tell me, Mr. Marin, you're my best patient. You're my best patient.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't complain. It's like, I get it. They got to do it. What am I to say? No, you can't draw my blood?
Oh, but there's patients like that.
I understand.
So
that.
you were the best patient, and I thank you for giving them that type of reaction
Yeah.
to their action.
And the respect also.
Yeah,
As a matter of
yeah.
fact, I felt, and there was this one nurse, he had just graduated in June, or he just became He just got his license in June.
Okay.
So he was only on the job for like 5 months and that. And I'll never forget, he was doing some things and I let him. You know, it's like, it's almost like I wanted to tell him, no, you shouldn't do it that way or whatever, because I was there for a while. But
Yes.
I let him do it. He was learning instead of getting mad and said, no, you're not supposed to do it that way or this and that. And there were some nurses, they were so good at drawing blood. There was only one that I felt it, but the other one, she did it, and I said, damn, you're good. Because she was like, I'm done. I said, damn, you're good. But again, I gave them respect. I supported them and everything. I even wanted to send them pizza for everything.
We appreciate that. We really do. I do a lot of the precepting of new nurses where they're new grads or they're experienced nurses coming new on the job. And the first thing I tell them, there's no glamour in nursing. You're going to get the good, the bad, and the ugly. And your job is to make sure that you take care of the patients. If you feel threatened or you feel like you're in danger, you have a right to step away and let your supervisor or the charge nurse know. But this is what, we're here for. We're not here to be abused, but we're here to take care of the patients.
That's
and
right.
Yes, we do. We tell the patients that like you, you're my best patient. We want to keep you. I tell the family members sometimes.
Can we have
I
more
want
of
to keep
you?
them. Yeah, but and you try to talk to the ones that really give you a hard time, because I think sometimes they think we're not human, and I think sometimes they forget we're human. But to the credit of some of the patients, if we have real bad days with I wouldn't say bad patients, but patients, because everybody react different when they're not feeling well.
Right.
I would say 90 to 95% of them will apologize.
Once they realize, oops,
Yes.
I think I bursted out too harsh on
they
you.
will apologize. But it's not a easy job.
No.
No, I'm sure
It's not an easy job at all. And yeah, it can be really rough. I think we all go home. You go home thinking in your head, did I do what I was supposed to do today?
So do you go home sometimes doubting yourself and saying, I wish I woulda, coulda, shoulda, and knowing that patient turned out for the worst, their health declined a lot faster than you have expected? As you said, you're there to say everything's going to be okay, you're going to be all right, and it doesn't turn out that way.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not God. And some things we can't fix, whether it be, it's something chronic, the patient waited too long, or the patient went bad, or, the patient turns around for the better. But in your head, you're always thinking, you want to always see that instant gratification, or you want to always see that patient do better. And I had to learn not to take it home. And I always tell the new nurses, the new grads, you got to have a life outside of your job, or mentally you will not make it. I've seen nurses have nervous breakdowns on the job. I had a coworker attempt suicide on the job.
Oh my goodness.
In the bathroom. So you have to make sure that, I always tell them, I don't know if you believe in God or a higher being, but you got to have a prayer life.
Yes,
and you
yes.
got to be able to turn it off, because if you don't, you won't survive in this field. The burnout is real.
Right.
Yeah.
I have
Go ahead.
I was going to say my wife's nephew. He's an RN at hospital I'm not going to mention, but he got slapped 3 times already. And he just graduated recently in June also. And he's like, oh my God. Oh my
He
God.
just slapped me. Wow.
Yeah.
You just want to slap him back, but you can't.
You can't. You
Especially
just-
if it's a mental patient. You don't know where they are.
because you don't know. And
They
again,
become violent, right? In
Yes.
some cases.
if you have somebody that's, I'm again, my thoughts are, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes and say, I'm in pain, but nobody is listening to me. Nobody's taking care of me. So that, I guess that's when they freak out. It's like you have 20 other patients and you're like, Mr. So-and-so, I'll be right there. But it's like,
Walk us down, now that you brought that up, Agustin, walk us down that day that it's like that, which I'm sure you guys have a lot more days like that now, thanks to the COVID and having no room left. Walk us through, because we really, I love the fact that you accepted to come on, because we all need to hear these stories.
Right.
What's it like to be a registered nurse in the ER, not just anywhere, in the emergency room? Walk us through a day like that. You got psych patients, or people with mental health. You got people that are going in with other illnesses. You got COVID people. You got ventilators here and there. Now you don't have enough ventilators. Walk us through what that
Yes.
looks like.
From the minute you check in, it's like
Yeah, because, you know,
we got
some
we
of
got
you...
4 patients that are waiting on you right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of you may have been in the ER, but still didn't think about the nurse that sees you and many others with all different stories. Walk us through that.
So I work 7 in the morning. So walking through the door, just to get to the door, you can hear it before you get there.
Madness.
You can hear it. I'm a person, I learned to pray before I walk in. And I've learned to leave my issues at the door. Now, everybody doesn't do that.
Right.
So when you walk in the door, you're putting your things away. You're trying to get report from the nurse that's ready to go home after her 12-hour shift.
She wants to run out.
She wants to go. So now you got the machines are going off. You have patients that's yelling and screaming. You have patients in the hallway. You got the paramedic at the door with 3 patients
Ooh, that's right.
waiting to give report.
Yeah, don't
You
forget
got the
that.
police that's bringing the patient in that's yelling and screaming at the same time, and you're trying to get report. Then you have that phone call. We're bringing a cold blue in. So now you haven't had a chance to get full report on your patients to see who is a priority. And now everything is almost at a stop because now
Cold
you
blue.
got to take care of the cold blue. This cold blue meaning the patient is deceased and we're trying to get them back.
Revive them.
Yes, we're trying to revive them back. And that's a team effort. That's not a one or two person effort.
Yes.
So now you got your coworkers that's trying to go around and see all your patients, de-escalate the patient that's in the hallway yelling and screaming. Try to explain to the family member that's standing at the door screaming, we've been here all night and we're ready to go. Explain to them that, okay, I'm going to take care of you because I always, tell them I'm helping out the nurse or your loved one. I'm going to take care of you. And at the same time, making sure that the Cold Blue, the staff in Cold Blue don't need anything. It gets really crazy. Now we're all working on adrenaline, and we want to take care of everybody, but unfortunately, we have to prioritize. So, you might have that patient that came in because they have, they have a broken nail all the way down to the cuticle, and their thought is, I'm more important than that patient, that the machine is going off because the patient or oxygen level is dropping. And something as simple as me going in and putting him back on the oxygen because maybe he removed it. So you're 4 nurses to 5 nurses and you're trying to deal with everybody in the ER. Now mind you, you got 2 or 3 of your nurses in the cold. So at least 2 nurses on the floor. And they're trying to de-escalate and correct things. And we're human. And it can be overwhelming, but you're working on adrenaline. But when you come down, that's when it hits.
Yeah.
It can be really overwhelming. And you got the doctors that's deal with the patient, and then you got administration that wants everything done.
Results.
On top of that.
They want
and why
results.
haven't you brought this report to me yet?
Why is that patient still sitting in that hallway screaming? The family member needs to be taken care of. They're waiting to go. You need to do that. And the phone is, let's not forget the phone.
Non-stop.
They're
Oh, my
ringing
gosh.
off the hook.
On top
Eve,
of that.
And that's all in the first hour that she's there.
She hasn't,
it's only
she hasn't
30
walked
minutes.
us through the day
30
yet.
minutes.
30 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's a roller coaster. So we got the patient back, thank God. So now the nurse is in there. When you do cold blues, I don't know if you guys ever seen it. How a room looks like a tornado.
My
went through
dad
it.
was cold blue.
Yeah,
I
so
saw it
everything is
firsthand.
thrown. Because you're trying to save this patient and get everything,
Right.
and you didn't snatch over. You got crash carts, and then you got everything in the trauma room. So now we got the patient back. The nurse is in there with another nurse. They're putting drips, medications on the patient to keep the heart sustaining and keep the patient sedated while they're intubated. And you got the tech in there. So now the other nurses come out. Now you got to give them a report on their patients that you took care of. Now everybody's going to see their patient. All the new patients are in the room. Now you got to go introduce yourself to the new patient, get all the information from that patient, document on that patient, and then get orders from doctors. So it's a cycle. It's a wave. It's up and down. So now you're down and you're getting ready to go back up again. So you take a breather because you know this is only temporary.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it
Round
doesn't
2.
stop. and then you still have your patients that's in COVID. So now you got to dress up.
Yeah,
Because you
put all
got to
your
go
gear,
in
your
there and you got to
PPE.
medicate the patient.
Right.
You know.
Wow.
And then you got to call upstairs.
Are you feeling overwhelmed? And we're not even in the first hour yet.
Yeah.
The whole
I'm just
Yeah, and then
My
now
mind
it's
is
2
just going-
hours, 2 to 3 hours now. You need to get the patients that's waiting to be admitted upstairs to their room. So now each one of us is trying to call and give report. The nurse upstairs is overwhelmed because now they're passing their medications on everybody they see. So they're telling you, you're not going to be able to give me a report right now because I'm busy. And it's like, I need to get this patient upstairs. This patient has been waiting. We have a room for the patient now. I'm sorry, but I need. So everybody, so it's a chain reaction. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
starts in the ER and it moves upstairs. And nobody thinks about that we all get interrupted from patient to patient.
Oh, I'm beeping you.
Yes.
I think these people think that when they check into a hospital, they're checking into the
The hotel, the spa day, you know.
and they're looking to
I'm
get
beeping
room
you.
service.
Yes.
No, I'm
That's like-
beeping you.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's another room. They're beeping you.
Yes, and then let's not. We forgot about the police. Got the very
Oh,
violent
geez.
patient.
Yeah.
That the police is
That
got him
they are
handcuffing and
handcuffed
waiting
to
for
the
us to
chair
come
or
in.
bed,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So now we have to go in there with him, and that's a team that goes in there, and we have to go in there and transfer this patient from police custody to the ER hospital, and so now this patient is very violent, and now we have to restrain, and somebody then got hurt. Because once the patient started fighting, I've been on that other end. I've had my shoulder torn twice.
Oh, I was
I've
going to
had a
ask, have
broken
you ever
finger.
been hurt?
Yeah, and I was just punched about 2 weeks ago in the middle of my face while I was standing in the nurse's
Ouch.
station to
Oh,
give
my
the doctor
goodness.
report on the patient. So yes, this is what goes on, and I call it the inside world because people are not back there. They're just
They're
sitting
not.
around,
They're
so
not.
they have no clue what we're going
Right.
through.
They think
Right.
they're some of these patients think
Right.
they're in a hotel.
Oh, we're in the
Yeah.
lobby just chit-chatting, waiting for my name to
Yeah.
be called. While over there's a guy that's coughing up almost his lungs out. And I'm like, where's everybody at? There's no nurse coming in.
Yeah.
We're not thinking about the nurse that's over there having a whirlwind tornado and everything, hurricane inside the ER, dealing with
Yeah.
everything that you just mentioned. We're in the lobby. Do you go through that? Do you even think that? Do you think that? I've been in the lobby many times,
I've been-
waiting with my parents, that advocate, as you said, waiting an hour, 2 hours. Now, when you're dealing with a cancer patient or you're dealing with someone that has CHF, COPD, they tend to see you faster.
Yes.
Because of the symptoms.
Yes.
He can go in a cardiac arrest like
Yes.
that, or he can stop breathing like that. So I thank them that they speed things up for these type of patients. But we didn't have COVID.
Yeah.
We didn't have psych patients at the times that we've been. I don't even know if that is the correct word. My daughter's in psychology. She's dealing with mental illness every
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah.
there's terms now that we can't say.
You shouldn't say crazy. I hate
No,
that word.
never say crazy,
No,
never
they're
say retarded,
mentally-
never say
right, they're
mentally
mentally-
challenged or
oh,
ill.
mentally ill,
Okay,
yeah.
mentally ill.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mental illness, but we expect you not to go there.
Yeah.
Miss Sandra, you can't go there.
Yeah.
You can't lose it. You can't have that nervous breakdown. You can't. But you just said that you have.
Yes.
Walk through well, you're still walking in the day. So
Yes.
continue on with that day
So
and until that
it's
moment
just
that happened
12
to you.
noon now.
Oh my goodness.
We didn't had all this at 12
we haven't
noon.
even thought about lunch.
Right.
But your
so
stomach
we
won't
didn't
have
get
time.
to eat on our first 15-minute breaks because a lot of times it's early when we come in. So we all talk about coffee. Coffee is our Superman juice. You know, we
Superman juice. I
So we're
love
What
that.
kind
like,
of coffee you drink?
oh my
Miss
God,
Sandra?
we haven't had our
Superman
coffee.
juice.
And you know they don't want us drinking and eating at the nurse station because of the illnesses and everything.
Right.
So now we're saying we're hungry, and we're hoping and praying that we can get a break because everybody can't go at the same time.
Right.
You got 30 minutes to eat fast. We all learn to eat very fast as nurses. I'm surprised we don't have gastric problems,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we learn to
pray
eat
not.
fast. And if you're eating, so now one person decides to go for break. And we're doing good. We all ordered the food. It's there. We actually sometimes clap when the food is there. So one person is eating, and we get a cold. We get a cold stroke. So now you
You
got
have
the
to
food.
take that bite and
You got to put everything
put it
down
down.
because your nurse coworkers need your help,
Right.
and that's a team effort too because you got to move very fast with with stroke patients, and get them transferred out if they need to be transferred. So now everything has stopped. In the meantime, your patient just seen you walk past going to the staff lounge. Now he see you running out and he's, nurse, nurse, nurse. How long is it going to be before I go? And you got to stop and try to explain to the patient, I'm going to be right with you. Let me go see about this patient. And they're cursing you from A to Z.
You don't have time to be going over there?
No.
What, a lunch? Excuse me?
Yes.
I've been waiting here 5 hours. What you talking about lunch?
Yes. And,
Oh, my
and I
goodness.
think, too, patients don't understand. When they come to the hospital, we're taking care of them. So we're doing CTs. We're doing ultrasounds. We're doing blood work. We're doing EKGs. We're doing x-rays. There's a time frame on those results. Just because we scan you or we drew your blood doesn't mean your results come right away.
Right.
Right.
There's a time frame, so you have to wait for that. And trying to explain that to someone that you have to wait for that, I don't have time to wait for that. So these are the things we're de-escalating. So now we're in the afternoon hours, and we're 12-hour shifts.
And you were about to take that bite, but you never did.
So that means we didn't get to eat. So now here we are. Now we're 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, and it seems like 3 o'clock. Kids are out of school. The parents are off work. We're getting this
More
flood in.
emergencies.
We're getting the flood in. So that craziness that started at the beginning of the shift, it has now peaked again.
Wow.
Yep. And this is our day. This is our day every day.
And you're overworked.
Yes, and if our coworkers are sick, sometimes you come to work and you look and you say, "Oh my God, we had 3 call-ins." So now you got to prioritize how
Short-staffed.
you're gonna, and that's the problem we're having now. Nationwide, we're short-staffed, and so we're all wearing many hats,
You're burning yourselves out.
Yeah.
and the burnout is real.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that?
For me, my husband's he's very supportive. I had to stop telling him how overwhelmed I was, because I think most of our conversations are not always about the patient. It's our day of the craziness. And so just telling him how overwhelmed I am or how tired I am, I had to stop, because he was like, maybe we should step away from nursing. And I told him I love what I do, so I try not to overwhelm him, because he's concerned about me.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. Is my
He's
wife going
concerned
to be
about
okay
me.
when she comes home?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because it's real. And so I have to de-escalate on the ride home.
Wow.
So I turn on gospel music,
Amen.
or I might call my husband, and he wants to tell me how his day went, and that helps me. So when I get to my house,
How did he feel when you told him that somebody punched you?
he was
Yeah.
very angry.
Do you want to come over
He
there
was
and
very
say who that
angry. And he
is?
was like, "Why are you still at work?" Because even though I got punched, I stayed.
Could you have gone home?
I could have went home. We're covered for
Wow.
3 days to. I stayed because I say my coworkers are going to be short, and we were very busy.
And your patients need you.
Selfless,
Yes.
selfless
Yeah.
love for what you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Wow.
and this is what we do. We get injured. We limp around.
Yeah.
I iced it up, and I kept
That's-
on going.
And that's why when I was in the hospital, like I said, I had a sense of what you guys were going through. That's why I said, I don't want to be that pain in the ass, I'm going to say, to these nurses. And again, what's the sense of me complaining? I still have to be there. Yeah, I would say to the surgeon, I said, when can I go home? When can I go home? You're not ready yet. You're not ready yet. You're not ready yet. But, for me, going back to that emergency room, I went there at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the evening. I went to the, urgent care in the morning. The doctor says, you need to go get a CAT scan.
Okay.
Because he thought it was my appendix. So anyways, I went there and I brought in a note. I says, I was sent here from the urgent care. I needed to get a CAT scan. He said, okay. They checked me and this and that. They took my vitals. I didn't get a CAT scan until 3:30 in the morning. I didn't get a doctor to come and see me till 6:30 in the morning. And then that's when he tells me, you need emergency surgery. It was
Wow.
8:30 in the morning.
How
And
many
what
hours?
time did you come in?
How many hours later?
Yeah, so at 8 o'clock, by 8:30, anesthesiologist, they put me in a room. I said, oh, is this where you're going to do the surgery? And he says, no, we're just prepping you for it. He says, we're going to take you into the OR, operating room, whatever. So by the time I got into the hallway, that was it. I didn't know what was going on. The next thing I remember, the surgeon said that you're all done. And I was like, okay. And I was all drugged out. But it's that whole
waiting period.
And for me, it was life-threatening because the surgeon had told me what should have been 15 minutes took me an hour and a half because it looks like your appendix had ruptured 3 days ago.
Wow.
He said you had all this stuff going on and you poisoned.
Right. Some go like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people die from sepsis. Yeah.
And that's exactly what he said. I had feces in there. I had everything because I guess one of my, I think it was the large intestine might have burst also.
Wow.
And he said that he had to pick things apart because they were already sticking together. So
Wow.
it was very, very, how can I say, a scary operation. You know, at least for me, I didn't know. I was under.
Right.
I didn't know. But
So you were waiting, you were patient, but not everybody was hosting.
I was,
Imagine we had more patients like that, right?
and me, I was curled
Yes.
up. in
And you had
pain.
every reason to
And-
holler and say,
Yes.
I'm
Take me,
dying,
take
or
me.
this is going to kill me, or
Yes.
something.
Because I thought that, for me, I was thinking, okay, if they see I need a CAT scan, I says, okay, they're going to take. But that night, I found out there was 100 people in the waiting room,
Wow.
in the emergency room.
Because this is
waiting.
pandemic
Yes.
season
Yeah.
while you were there,
So,
right?
and I fell asleep, curled up, and this gentleman even tapped me on the shoulder and he says, they're calling your name.
Yes.
Because,
Also familiar. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Also familiar. Yeah.
and that's why I was like, but again, you know, for me, it was, I didn't know the extent of what this, how can I say, I didn't know how serious it was, but for me, it was no reason to badger a nurse or anybody there because they don't know. They have 99 other patients.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And we're not mind readers. We
Exactly,
don't know. You know, when
exactly.
patients come in, you know, and this happens a lot. Patients come in and they might complain about one thing and it's something else, or they minimize. I find most of the serious patients a lot of times they won't go to the hospital right away, and when they do go, they won't call 911. They'll walk in. So you're sitting in that waiting room, you know, calm, waiting patiently, and you're really sick, and you don't verbally, you know, say, you know, this has been going on with me. So when we see you and you tell it, you know, it goes from, okay, we need to get this patient back fast. So, you know, that's why I tell everyone, and I work the triage area, we're going to see everyone. But, you know, we try to help push things through, like, you know, put your complaint down, you know, and give it to the nurse so we can say, okay, we need to move faster with this patient. Every patient is emergency to us, but we have to prioritize, you know, because you have people that are very sick, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we have to make sure that we move according to, you know,
And
what's
that's if
going
you're
on.
not pulled somewhere else on a cold blue
Yes. Yes.
or with a mental health patient.
crisis, yes, because it
crisis.
happens in the lobby as well. They
Yeah.
walk in the lobby, so it
Yeah.
delays things. Yeah.
Right. Or if the ambulance brings in gunshot victims,
Yes.
stabbing victims. And
Yes.
You know, I thought it and it came out of your mouth.
Yeah, and we do. We
In
get
sync
them.
here.
You wouldn't believe a lot of gunshot victims.
Yeah.
We're not a trauma hospital, but we get trauma. We have them. They will drive themselves there, you know, and that can go bad really fast. You can be shot in the arm and not know you nicked the artery and you're bleeding
right,
out.
right.
So
they think, oh, it's just
yeah.
a flesh wound, or I'm
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but we gotta treat it as if it's a trauma. So yeah, there's no glamour, and that's my biggest statement I give. Welcome to nursing. There's no drama in no glamour in nursing. You know, it's not about you. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you know, you can try to figure it out, but it's not about you. You got to leave that problem at the door.
Now, is there any help for those that are on the verge of a breakdown or have had a meltdown or a breakdown at work? Is there
Nurses.
help where they can go?
They have a team, a crisis team there for the employees.
Oh, good.
I don't think they utilize it as much because I think people that work a job, they don't want to share with their coworkers. This is going on because
Just what we
they're
were just
afraid
saying.
that they're going to tell someone else on the job, and then they know your business.
Right.
So a lot of people, they hold things in, and we kind of like, we'll talk
Same.
about it, but sometimes we
Right.
don't.
Sounds familiar. Even with the police department, they say the
There's
same
a trust
thing.
issue there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they figure
Stigma.
let's say you're going up for a promotion,
Yeah. Yeah.
they can hold you back.
Yeah.
That is so sad. And for those of you that are listening, I hope that this is really has been an eye opener for you. That you think twice next time you go into the ER. That you're nicer to the nurses. Even the nurses may not seem to be too nice, but you don't know what's going on
Yeah.
in their world.
Yeah, be respectful. You're checking into a hospital, not a hotel.
Right? Miss Sandra just walked us through what one day,
One day.
not 6 days,
And
7
the-
days,
and
what
the first
one day
half,
looks
the
like.
first half hour. That
I was
you-
already feeling overwhelmed, and really seeking spiritual guidance.
Yes.
Just as you said, I'm all for that. But there's a lot of people that are lost and don't know that that could be one of the answers to seek spiritual guidance, prayer. But not everybody can connect to that, right?
Yes.
I have-
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have a question for you because I know a lot of people, they use the ER as a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I know sometimes it's, oh, you don't go to the ER. You'll get all these tests done and everything.
Yes.
What's the alternative for that?
So we try to get them in the clinic. So I know when I work in the triage area and people walk in because they like to use it as for primary doctor.
Oh, I got an ingrown toenail.
Yeah. So what I do is I will talk to the doctor. If the doctor's not busy, I have them come out. And the triage area is also like it's an office / patient area. So it has the cart. Everything is there as well. So I have the doctor see the patient there. If the doctor can't and the patient is willing, to get a primary doctor and be seen in the clinic, I offer them. I say, if you're willing, you say if you can, you don't want to wait. So I can call up to the clinic and see if they have any openings. And a lot of times they do. They will see them and it gets them started with a primary doctor. And then if we can't do that, if they're not willing to wait and they're willing, they don't want to see a clinic doctor and they're willing to wait in the ER, we do set them up with a primary doctor. So we
That's
give
great.
everybody a primary doctor on their discharge papers. We have a discharge staff that does discharge planning with them that also help get them linked up, to it. So you do have those, and we hope and pray that people willingly,
Yeah.
follow through with that.
This would,
Right.
Yeah.
this would alleviate all that extra unnecessary bodies in the emergency room waiting for
Yes.
something that's minimal.
Yes.
Like myself, I go to urgent care.
Yes,
You know,
and that's
whenever I
why they're
can.
there. Yeah, they're there for that reason. But a lot of people don't use urgent care because sometimes they want something more that's not needed.
Right.
I try to explain to patients, everyone don't get scans. They don't need the scans. Doctor can see you and he can take care of that, in the clinic area. But, we try to be respectful when people don't want that. We don't turn them away. We treat you. But, we have to tell you that, you got to follow up in the clinic
Right.
with
Right.
your doctor,
So as you're talking, I'm listening, but I know that when you mentioned Code Blue, it took me to that day where my dad coded. How one specific, I don't know if it was a doctor or a nurse, because they take you out of the room, so 3 or 4 people are in the room trying to resuscitate him. I think it was a nurse, a female, that was on top of my dad. She wouldn't stop for 30 minutes. That's tiring.
Oh, yes,
That's very tiring.
very.
And I was like, well, if it's his time, it's going to be his time. An hour later, it was his time to go. Could they have done something about it? Maybe in my eyes, being the daughter, the nurse was in there just looking at the numbers declining, but wasn't doing anything. And the numbers are declining. I'm not a nurse, right? COPD, CHF, I think they both, he just stopped breathing.
Okay.
He couldn't breathe laying flat.
Okay.
So And just seeing that and hearing you, but you got somebody else you got to go save too.
Mm-hmm.
We're not thinking about that. We're only thinking about our family member, that you got to help them now.
Mm-hmm.
But what you just told us that took you 3 hours, that you took us 3 hours, that's a lot.
A 3-hour tour. Of
Right?
Reality. And
That's a lot, Miss Sandra. And I think in this show we need to encourage nurses, RNs, such as yourself, to seek help.
outside help, like you said.
Yeah.
It doesn't
So
have
they
to
don't
be,
know that it's you in the hospital seeking. Now, I know that
Yeah.
they have, sometimes because of the insurance, whatever, or the plan they have, you go in-house. And that's same thing with the university, the students. They got to go in-house because of whatever their plan is or whatever. But I think you need to also encourage those that are listening that
Yeah.
you're in that field to
Yeah.
seek help,
Yes.
to avoid having anything else happen to them personally,
Yes.
mentally, emotionally. But you're also seeing gunshot wounds,
Yes.
wounds, period.
Yes.
That's hard to handle, isn't it?
It is. It can be overwhelming. I think people don't realize we're human too, because trauma is real. Mental trauma is real. So you have someone come in that's a gunshot victim, and they might not know that you just lost a son due to gunshot. You know what I'm saying? Or you lost someone, or that you was a rape victim, and now they're here for rape. And so you have to almost shut yourself off mentally so you can be able to take care of that patient, because it's not about you. And for some people, that's hard to do.
yeah,
It's hard to
Imagine.
turn it off and on, And
absolutely.
I've had coworkers walk out, never come back. I've had coworkers leave the medical field altogether and say, I can't do it anymore.
Right.
It's a very rough area to be in. You have to be strong mentally and emotionally and physically,
Right.
because
And
it
just-
can take a toll.
Yeah, and it's like our bodies, what they say, they recommend to go see a chiropractor, get an adjustment. The same thing I say is go see a counselor or a therapist.
Yes.
As something regular, just to,
Almost
instead
like-
of bringing it to your family.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
you don't want to keep hearing me.
Kind of
right?
like debrief yourself.
it,
Yes.
get it all out,
Let
right?
it out. And
Because
I just had one question for you, being in here. What was the youngest age of a gunshot wound or a person that came in?
My chef, I think he was in his teens.
Wow.
Yeah, in his teens. Yeah. Yep.
And see, the reason I say that is my daughter, she used to go to school on the near west side. And it was an emergency room doctor, person, I don't even remember, but he worked at Cook County. And I think I mentioned this story to you, but this young teen came in. He had a gunshot wound. And the doctor's young, he's not young, but he's a black man. And he says to the kid, he says, you need to try and better your life. You're lucky this time, whatever, trying to give him advice. He said 3 or 4 weeks later, he comes back with 4 gunshot wounds.
Yes.
Same
Sounds
thing.
familiar.
See?
Sounds familiar. We've experienced that as well.
what does that do to you, if anything?
Yes.
It's a scary thing, because it's like, and then it makes you angry because you want to try to help them, but it's hard because some people don't accept
Right. Right.
that help, or depending on what environment they're in.
Yes.
And their thought process, their mental illness, and it can be very challenging, very challenging.
And that's one of the things of being in the school there. I've mentored about 23 kids, male and female, 8th graders, 7th and 8th grade. And hearing some of the stories, you don't know what goes on at home.
Right?
Yes.
Right. You don't know what their
So
life is.
Yes.
this is the only thing they know.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what I'm hearing.
It's
And, you know,
normal for them. Yeah.
That is the normal, like you said. Our
It's
normal
survival.
is not that's it. And they only react to what they know.
Yes.
And all they know is what they know. And that's for them their regular thing. To us, it's like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is
From-
this is just
especially,
not
you know,
acceptable. This isn't
One
right.
of the saddest stories I read was this famous funeral home in the black community, Leakin Sons. They interviewed him. He said, the hardest part of my job is having kids come in as young as under 20 buying a box for themselves, casket, because they don't expect to live past 25.
Oh yeah, I've heard them say,
That's the new mentality.
I'm not
for
going to
a lot
live
of-
till I pass
Isn't it?
22.
That's,
It's sad.
It is sad, but you know, I don't want to get off track.
You're getting
in
off the
that.
soapbox here now
No, no,
into
no, but
another one. But
I'm-
we're
I'm-
going to bring her back, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
we're
And
going to have to
we're-
bring you back, right? Because
we're-
I have so many more
we're down-
questions. We're
Yes.
down to the last minute or
Yes.
so.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing
Absolutely.
your world
You guys are welcome.
with us here on The Face of a Hero. And as our viewers, our audience, it touched me, and I hope that it touched you as well, to have more respect, more empathy for our ER personnel or doctors or whomever's out there as a first responder taking a huge risk. Yeah, they signed up for it, okay? But they didn't know about pandemic, okay, when they signed up for it. They didn't know they were going to be putting a lot of bodies in bags.
Yes.
They didn't sign up for that.
You know what they signed up for? And I'm sorry to interrupt. They signed up to save you,
Right,
to help you.
right.
That's what they signed up for.
Yes.
They didn't sign up for all the critique and for the abuse and that.
That's right.
You know, here we have this fine nurse that put her life
Yeah.
on the line to help you.
And her
to help
mental
you get-
health.
Exactly.
Right? That's
Yes.
huge.
And again,
Yes.
you're when you check in, you're checking into a hospital, not a hotel to bring for room service.
Right, right.
You're there to get better and help them help you, make their job easier to help you.
Exactly.
Because if not, you're going to get sick. And
And
You
we
will
need
definitely-
we need our nurses.
that's right.
Yeah.
We need them to be okay.
Yes.
I think that you would want them to be okay. Pray for them. I'm a prayer warrior. Pray for those nurses. And we have been praying for all of you
We
that are
appreciate
in
it.
the hospitals.
We really do
Absolutely.
appreciate
Dealing
I
it.
do.
with madness, with chaos,
Yes.
with toxic.
We need it. We need it.
You just heard a story, not from Augustine or myself, but from someone that's there and doing it. Not been there, done that. That's past. There and doing it.
Still doing it.
Still doing it.
Thank you for your service.
You guys
Thank you.
are
Thank you
welcome.
for
Thank you.
loving people,
Yes.
patience, and thank you for allowing God to move you
Thank you.
and to use you
Thank you all.
in what you do. And I commend you for it, and everyone else that's out there in the hospitals working day in and day out tirelessly and not thinking of yourself as saying, I forgot, I didn't eat. I need to stop this patient from doing all this. I got to go eat. I didn't hear that. Did you hear her story saying that she
No.
took the time
I
and
just
went to go
all
eat
I heard was she smelled the
She
food
was about to
and
take
she
a
had to
bite.
put it down.
and had to put it down?
Had to
Wow.
put it down. But
Well, we hope that I won't say enjoyed this because it's nothing enjoyable about hearing saving lives and having to not even think of yourself. That's heroic. Hence the Face of a Hero name, right?
I would say I hope you learned something
Learned
from,
exactly. Learned
Learned something
something
from this,
from it. That you're now going to be empathetic. That you're now going to be patient. That you're now going to be understanding. That you're now going to show respect for them. And that is the mission and the vision of this show.
That's right.
The Face of a Hero. We got to get going.
Yes,
This
yes.
has
I wish
been,
I wish we can stay here
great-
for another hour, but
great show.
you know, the next time. Till next time.
Yeah.
Don't forget the Face of a Hero. Call us. 872-265-1829.
Yes.
Give us a call. We
And-
want to hear your story. We want you
Yes,
on
we
the show.
do. We do, and these stories, you know, are there. This is their platform, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Face of a Hero. Like us on Facebook, The Face of a Hero, and also subscribe to our email, our website rather, so you can
Yeah.
get emails from us. So you
Yes.
get who's coming on before we put it out there,
That's
right?
right. That's
so thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you.
here, The Face of a Hero. Agustin, as always,
Eve,
been great to
my
be
sister.
here with you.
Absolutely.
Mi amigo, mi hermano. And to our lovely guests. Thank you
Thank
once
you.
again.
Thank you
Thank
again.
you.
We
Thank
appreciate you. God
May
bless
God
you.
bless you. May God
Yes,
continue to
Thank
bless
you.
you.
That's right.
Likewise.
Peace to you guys. We'll be back next Thursday at 8
Absolutely.
p.m. Central Standard Time here on The Face of a Hero.
Yes.
Till next time.
Thank you.